I'm going to use the anti-MLM movement to explain how you might be able to extricate people from the cult of Trump. Trump is most definitely a cult. There's even been a book written about it by Stephen Hassan called The Cult of Trump. I will do another post outlining specifically how he follows the tactics of cults. But for the purposes of this, let's assume that he's a cult. If you look at multi-level marketing, and actually I talked to Steve Hassan when I was working on my book, and I said, if you had to do a Venn diagram about MLMs and cults, what would it look like? And he said it would look like a circle, meaning that an MLM is a cult. Now, look at what the anti-MLM movement is doing. They're creating massive amounts of content to fight those people who are already in an MLM. And they're not fighting the people, they're fighting the corporations, right? Because people got sucked into this. We have to have compassion for these people. It's not them. They got caught into a bad system. But if you look at what the MLMers are doing, they create the content using the same semiotics of people who are already in the MLMs. And so what happens with the algorithm in YouTube is when somebody who's in an MLM types, I don't know, LuLaRoe, they'll get content about LuLaRoe, but they'll also get the anti-MLM content about LuLaRoe. And over time, they begin to see more anti-MLM content. And it starts to create cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you try to make something make sense for yourself, but cognitively, you can't get it to make sense. And John Jalalich, who is another cult expert, talks about breaking away from cults, and most people do leave cults, as a bookshelf. And what happens is you have one book of cognitive dissonance and another book and another book and another book until finally the shelf breaks. If we apply the same theory to people who are in the cult of Trump, they would need to see content from people who had been in the cult and left, because those are the people they are most likely to listen to, because they understand where the pain points of cognitive dissonance are. The question in the case of Trump is there enough time? And I don't know that there is. But what I do know from the anti-MLM movement is that this is incredibly successful. There are a number of companies that are multi-level marketing companies that are in a lot of trouble right now. And based on interviews I did with people in the industry, they know they're in trouble. And they know the reason why, in a large part, is due to the anti-MLM movement.